Hi everyone, this is JP from Caffeinated Warlord, and I'm bringing to you another tournament report from the event Summer Slaughter. This is 2100 point battles, 3 rounds, 16 players, and I'm bringing my Trident Realms for the first time. So if you're interested in some very fun games, watch on. So the Summer Slaughter event was held at Games Portal in Ringwood, Melbourne, Australia, and it typically is one of the events that's known as a MikeCon, because Mike Crossman usually runs them. But this time he was indisposed, so Yan July took over, and therefore it is a YanCon, as I have now dubbed it. So what have I brought to this? Well, it's the Trident Realms. The Trident Realms I have already shown one battle report with, well actually two, and now they're complete, fully painted. I'm quite proud of them, and so this is their first event I've ever taken them to, so I'm really kind of testing the list more so, because you play one game here, one game there, it doesn't quite get you an idea of how the list works, but when you really put it through its paces against other people's competitive lists, then that really starts to inform just how well you've crafted your army list. So what army did I bring in terms of composition? Well, it's very similar to what we've seen already. I've referred to it as the Fisherman's Basket because it really has a whole lot of everything, but it's an unfortunate name because it also does denote the idea that my opponent will be eating the Fisherman's Basket. But anyway, so I have one regiment of Riverguard Tree Leapers, 2 regiments of Placoderms, 1 horde of Gigas with the Staying Stone, 2 Tidal Swarm regiments, 1 Nucker, 1 Coral Giant, 1 Kraken, 1 Naiad Envoy, 1 Naiad Wormrider Centurion, and then the Hidden Ones formation, which includes 2 Thule regiments and 1 Thule Mythicon. Now, what I'll do is now I'll just go over what I'm kind of hoping with this list. So I have a whole lot of the tough stuff. So I have essentially Defense 6 stuff, which are the Placoderms and Gigas, right? So they're Defense 6, they are hard to remove. The Gigas actually can output quite a bit of damage, but unfortunately with 12 attacks they do tend to whiff, because that's the nature. The less dice you're rolling, it seems the higher likelihood that you'll just get some of the extremes. The other half of this list is then the faster, punchier components. So those include things like, you've got the Nucker, we've got the Wormrider Centurion, and then obviously the Thule are actually deceivingly fast thanks to the Wild Charge on top of their speed 6. The Riverguard Tree Leapers are also quite fast, and that's actually a new thing that I'm trying in this list. And then kind of straddling hard stuff versus punchy stuff is the Coral Giant and the Kraken. So the Coral Giant is definitely very tough because he's got Ensnare Defense 5, but he also has Crushing 3, which is very hard to get in Trident Realms. Really anything past Crushing 1 is really hard to get a hold of in terms of which units have it. And so the Coral Giant really brings some very much needed punching power in the army list, and so that's why I actually always take him with Slayer, because I find obviously the things that you want to hit really hard tend to be, other things that are big, so large infantry and upwards. And the Kraken, I just really like the models, so I just really want to bring him along, and it's pretty good for tying up infantry, but the problem is the Kraken is more expensive than the Coral Giant, even though it has less damage output and has less durability as well. But what the Kraken does make up for is it's definitely more on the speedy side. So, I've got the fast, relatively hard-hitting half the army, and then I've got my slow, durable part of the army. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get that balance between in terms of the Fisherman's Basket army. So I'm quite proud of it, and it's fully painted, like I said. So everyone likes taking their army out for the first time. So on to round 1. Who be my first opponent? Well, originally I was actually going to grudge Yan. But obviously, since Mike couldn't actually take over the event himself, someone else had to then be my opponent because Yan was then running the event. So it ended up being Richard. So actually, I talked to Richard quite a bit because he runs the store in Geelong known as Throw the Dice. What makes Throw the Dice a very special store in Australia is it's one of the few stores that actually stocks Kings of War miniatures. So whenever I'm trying to buy some more Kings of War stuff, I always try to check to see what he has in stock and also what he can order in. Obviously, if it's really going to be a long wait time, then, or I really need to get it direct, then I'll do so. But often I'll check with Richard to see what he's got. So if you're in Australia, particularly down, in Victoria and maybe I guess South Australia, you should probably try and order through a local store because it's just good. You know, I wish I lived in Geelong so I could play there and play in this store, but unfortunately, you know, I live on the other side of Melbourne, very far away, so it takes me about 2 hours to get there. Would if I could. So to make up for it, I usually just order things from him and get them through. And, you know, and then I have to pay some extra shipping, I guess, from there versus the shipping that were from an online store. It doesn't really matter. In the end, it's the same price. And I just get it from Richard, which helps his store out and helps them keep stocking Kings of War, because that's ultimately what I want to see. So anyway, enough about Richard's business, which is good. Throw the dice at Geelong. But let's get into his army. He's running undead, and it is a mean list. So let's go through it. We have one horde of ghouls with the Brew of Strength, one horde of ghouls with Helm of Confidence, one horde of zombie trolls with Blessing of the Gods, one Death Pack regiment, 3, count them, 3 Balefire catapults. That's just mean. One Ghoughghast, which has the Aura of Thunderous Charge 1, which is just for the ghouls, I think keyword cannibal, and also has the Loot of Insatiable Darkness, thus giving it the ability to cast Banechant. Then we have one Vampire Lord with Axe of the Giant Slayer, which gives it Slayer D3, very cool, Surge 4, and Host Shadow Beast 3, to get to that with Knowledgeable. Then we have one Necromancer with the Inspiring Talisman, Surge 6, and Heal 3, so it's a very, you know, useful little Necromancer. Finally, the Shambling Blight. So this is a really, I think, quite a good formation, and it's pretty much the only way you can take zombie legions, which it contains 2 zombie legions, which have been upgraded both with undead giant rats, and one has got the Crystal Pendant of Retribution, which is disgusting, and the other one with the Aegis of the Elohi. And then you take one Goreblight that goes with it, and it's just really mean. So overall, you can kind of look at this list, and it doesn't have some of what a normal undead list is, which is like whites and stuff, which are just, you know, they're you can look at whites and go, oh well, they do a lot of damage. But instead, what it has is it has some components that do a deceptive amount of damage, because the ghouls are kind of a berserker infantry, but they themselves do not have much piercing. But with the Brew of Strength combined with Thunderous Charge 1 Aura of the Ghoughghast, suddenly that horde of ghouls is going to be doing a lot of damage, so that's quite terrifying. And then also you've got things like the zombies. While the zombie legion, obviously they're merely 5, so they're really not going to do all that much, but it's just they are really hard to grind through. And the problem is when they have that something like the Crystal Pendant of Retribution, you just really don't want to kill it. But you have to send in a lot of stuff to kill it. And so what do you want to do? Do you want to send in all your stuff, which will then detonate that Crystal Pendant and just all get hurt so much? Or do you hold back and just let it live? But you can't, because the unit strength is too high, so, you know, it's just it's a tricky situation. And then to top it all off, you got the Balefire catapults that are putting on that pressure. So this is, when I was reading the army list, I saw these things and I'm like, ooh, I don't know. So we'll see how we go. So the scenario is dominate. Very simple one. Get everything into the circle in the middle, and you've got to have more unit strength than your opponent to win. So I have. No, before I go through army, let's go through the terrain. So what do we have here? We have hill right in the middle of the dominate zone, pretty much. So one hill, the other hill over here. Nice snow-covered terrain here. It's a really good-looking table, actually. Really like the terrain here. And then we have one blocking terrain here, which is what looks like an inn. And then the other blocking terrain right opposite it, which was this rock formation. And there's another blocking terrain over here as well, so it's, you know, slightly different from the Epic Dwarf. So 3 blocking terrains, so one top left, one bottom right, one bottom left. Then we also have one flat terrain there, which is a little lake in front of what is one of his legions. And then both of the obstacles are kind of making this 90-degree angle, this L there, next to this terrain. And then finally we have our forest. So one forest in the middle of his deployment zone and one in the right side of my deployment zone. So that's all the different terrain that we've got here. So let's go through the deployment. So starting with my army, what I've done, knowing that I need to get to the dominate circle and most of my unit strength are these placoderms, I put placoderm, giga, and placoderm pretty much right in the middle. So, and I'm trying to straddle a bit of this this hill so I can see some things, but you know, I just spread them out kind of like so. And there's the Naiad Envoy, who's giving some inspiring to placoderms and gigas. I've got the River Guard Tree Leapers here behind the building because I know I can just jump over. Just because, you know, they got fly speed 7, so they can easily get over, and nimble. On the far left, I've kind of set up a flank with the Coral Giant and a Tidal Swarm. So that the idea is that they'll come in from one side. And then from the other side, I have first in the forest the Kraken, which has got plenty of infantry to start munching through, and the Naiad Centurion there, offering some more inspiring on that half. And then finally on the very right hand side we have the whole formation sitting there, so the Thule Mythicon with the 2 Thule regiments, as well as the Tidal Swarm and the Nucker. So that's, I've kind of, yeah, looking back on it, I've spread out too far, definitely. Like, I should have condensed a bit more, but I just felt I had this kind of speed advantage over his army, so why not use it? But yeah, that's what I've done. I've spread out, and I've already scouted up my 2 Tidal Swarms, so you can see them there. Just kind of projecting that kind of quote-unquote threat. No one's really threatened by Tidal Swarms, but it's something that he has to hit. Looking at his deployment, so, well, let's start with the most obvious thing. The 3 nasty Balefire catapults are right at the back there, with a view of most things, and he knows I have to go into the deployment, into the dominate zone, so as long as he has sight on that, he'll have something to shoot at. And just, you know, Balefire catapults, they are nasty. Like, you know, most war engines are pretty whiffy, but the fact is that these guys get rerolls on their wounds, because there's nothing worse. You know, we've all done it. You finally start hitting, because it's hard enough. They're usually range 5+, and sometimes, you know, cover or something will mean you will be rolling 6s, and then you get that chance. It's wound on 2+, just roll a 2, and you start rolling 1s. But these things, they get D3 rerolls to wound. And yeah, it just increases the consistency with which they do damage so much more. Like, I just see them doing so much more damage than my goblin rock throwers, and so I just look at them with envy, really. But that's that. And then on the right hand side, against my Thule, he has his own Berserker troops. He has the 2 hordes of ghouls, and the Ghoulghast kind of sitting between them. Then we have, right in the middle, going into the dominate zone, which really terrifies me, the 2 legions straddling the Scoreblight, the 2 legions of zombies. It's a bit confusing because the legions themselves have trees in them, which look really cool. He's used the these are the trees. I think they're the old trees that you used to get from the Wildwood from Games Workshop. I don't think they sell it anymore, but he's used those. Because they're nice and spooky, so they're great, and he's got the zombies walking all over them. So one of them is fully painted, one's not. We'll show that soon. And then I think behind the Goblet is that Necromancer. And then on the other side of the legions, there's the zombie trolls and the vampire. So yeah, and the Death Pack I think is behind the zombie trolls. So yeah, lots of unit strength heading straight for that dominate zone. Definitely more unit strength than I can offer, and I got to find a way to get through it. So that is the situation that is posed to me right now. So let's get into the game. So he gets first turn, he's going in. Oh no, let's take a look at some zombies. So he has painted some of it, not all of it. He is a store owner, so he plays far too many systems, so I can imagine it's quite hard to get anything in particular painted. But we have beautiful zombie trolls, they look great. And then here is Legion, a bit blurry there, is a bit better. And now some pictures of my army, which we've seen already, but you know, there's my placoderms, pretty cool. Very proud of this Coral Giant. I actually entered this into the, there was a monster, best painted monster as part of this event, and I won it with this guy. Probably due to all the conversions and the funky colors, because he's all covered in corals. And there's my Thule. Just trying to do some cool action shots, you know. So, turn 1. Well, as denoted by the fact he was measuring, his turn was first. And so everything just moved up consistently together, with the exception, the only thing being held back were the ghouls were just getting a little bit onto the hill so they could see. These ones can't, but these ones can, so the ones on the far right can and the other cannot. And the Ghoulghast is there taking a look as well, just to look over and see that Tidal Swarm. And we have the trolls angling towards my giant just to make sure that they don't get flanked. So yeah, very tentative. Shooting, holy moly, it's already on. So my defense 6, it seems to be nothing against these Balefire catapults, because the 3 of them, just seeing a little bit of these guys, managed to do 5 damage onto my placoderms, which is quite nasty because they're 14-16. So even with 5 damage, it's quite likely to get a waiver. And so yeah, that's starting to put the pressure on. You know, you're feeling the sweat. Yeah, just taking a picture. Those are the guys. so in my turn 1, feeling the pressure, I started to move things up. So up go all my Thule. So that I have my whole plan here was I saw the ghouls and I'm like, ghouls, low defense, let's send in the Thule to take out the ghouls. Kind of rhymes. And so I have this tidal swarm there angled, hopefully that they'll come down, hit it, and then I'll bang, go in with my Thule, which now currently have some range on that first horde there. So that's kind of the plan here. I feel like I can get through them. They should be able to take that out by themselves. The Kraken and the Centurion just moving up a little bit, trying to get some range. ʀᴇʟᴇ also getting range. We're all just trying to say, I have range on you, feel threatened. I don't think he does because he's undead, but I was hoping he would. And then over here, moving up the tidal swarm in front of my Coral Giant to just get ready to screen me into these zombie trolls. And then in the middle, I'm just moving again up towards the hill, but I don't really want to get on the hill yet because I just don't want to start copping those balefire hits. So right now the Gigas are hiding behind the hill and the Placoderms are there, and I didn't end up jumping over with my tree leapers because I felt like they would just put them right in front of the zombie trolls, and that just wouldn't be very nice for my frogmen as their debut on the table. So just holding them back a bit. Yeah, not much to the turn because I don't have any shooting in this army, so that's it. Whoa, turn 2, where's my turn 2 thing? Well, no, there's turn 2. Alright, so there we go, turn 2. And there we go, we've got the trolls coming into the tidal swarm, to be expected. They will get through pretty quickly. They hit on 4s and then it's ensnared, so they'll hit on 5s. So that might slow them down a bit, but yeah, we'll just see what goes on there. He's put all these tags to show the items, pretty good. So it says Blessing of the Gods there. And so all the items are very clear to him. Yes, it's turn 2, we know, And so then here, the rest of the army, again, just moving up a bit. He's not really caring the fact that I've got some range on him, so he's just moving up. But the ghouls aren't so fine with being in range of the Thule, so they've moved back a bit. They did not take my bait. Ugh. And over here, well, the trolls obviously managed to get through the tidal swarm. I was a bit surprised, but you know, the tidal swarm is not very defensive, so really whatever damage gets through, and there's no inspiring over here, so yeah, I shouldn't be all that surprised. But the shooting, I didn't take a picture of this, I did it all out of order, but the shooting, again, surprisingly good, especially onto something that's stealthy. So this is hitting on 6s, 3 of them, and 7 damage on my Thule. So yeah, 5 damage there, 7 damage, so far they've done in 2 turns 12 damage on all my units, and so yeah, it's starting to make me make some bad decisions. Yeah, just showing you. So in my turn 2, I just started getting stuck in. So obviously the screen for the tidal swarm for the Coral Giant is gone, so the Coral Giant just jumps in. He's going to go smash some trolls, and that's what he's meant to do. He's got the Slayer, so he should be able to do a respectable amount of damage onto those trolls and start chipping them away. I've also sent in the Tree Leapers to the Death Pack to just take them out, so I don't have to worry about those. And the Vampires there giving me a bit of a concerning look, but for now I think I'm okay. He can't really see anything that will really do all that much damage. And here I have decided to triple charge this particular Zombie Legion. I think this one does have the pendant. I can't really remember, but I sent in these 3 thinking, yeah, maybe I'll pop it or we'll grind through it, you know, figure it out. In hindsight, you do the maths, it's definitely nowhere near enough stuff to get rid of it. Like I just need essentially the only thing in my army that could do it is Thule. And all the Thule all at once, and maybe with something else. The Kraken's okay, he's definitely going to do alright, but the other things, you know, they're just 5 or 6 attacks, so what they're chipping in is tokenistic at best. So in we go anyway, so just see. Richard, when that went in, he was like, oh, yeah, they're definitely gone. I'm like, oh, okay. And then maybe it was his, you know, oh, they're definitely gone, that kind of encouraged me. Like, yeah, you're right, maybe they are definitely gone, so I went in anyway. So here we are. And the rest of the army is just kind of angling about. I've finally got the Gigas at least peeking over the hill so that they're ready to take on something. But yeah, 12 attacks, not very good against zombies because they're crushing all for naught. And here I managed to still get him with a high roll of the Wild Charge on one of the Thule regiments. So I just sent it right into the ghouls to hold them up, and the rest of the army the rest of the Thule and the tidal swarm are kind of just moving up. And I've tried to keep my Thule Mythicon in range to give that Thunderous Charge aura. But yeah, I've got my other ones with the 7 damage. I'm just like, ooh, trying to get them out of line of sight of those of those war engines, because one more round like that and they're absolutely dead. They're gone, and you know I just can't afford that. So here showing is some of the damage, and I think here it is. Yeah, 4 damage. My giant did 4 damage against those zombie trolls. So that's not quite what I thought. You know, when you have 2d6 plus 8, crushing 3 attacks, even at melee 4. Granted, that's not great, but I just thought it would do a bit more damage than that. So yeah, definitely nowhere close to... I mean, if I roll double 6s with the brutal, I think I get it. I think they're dash 17. But yeah, I did not roll that, especially not twice. And I didn't even kill the death pack. How silly is that? So yeah, it's pretty annoying. Here I do some damage. Do we have a picture? I do not see it. Oh, I think it might be behind that tree, but I did a tokenistic amount of damage. It was like, I went in and then like, oh, and he was very surprised. He's like, oh, was that it, really? And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, didn't feel very smart about that. Here also just 6 damage. Wait, or was it? No, that's 9 damage. So yeah, the Thule did quite admirably there. 9 damage into the Helm of Confidence, guys. So that's pretty good. But yeah, nothing removed. So let's see what the hit back is. Turn 3. Well, the trolls obviously go back in, but then so too does the vampire, who can definitely see me over his trolls. So both of them charge in. So I've got a vampire who has that Axe of Giant Slayer, if you do remember. So that's not great. He's definitely going to add in some damage, but not single-handedly kill me. Death Pack goes back into my Tree Leapers. Cloak of Death goes off. I've got a flank from the Gorblight, and the whole Legion, I think was countercharging the Kraken. But it really doesn't matter. But yeah, they're counter-charging one thing, or maybe they're counter-charging my Centurion. But then at the same time, we also have... Just trying to take a look. No, I think not the Centurion. Yeah, no, he's counter-charging the Kraken, and then that meant they shuffled along, and then we have over here the whole horde of ghouls going into my ʀᴇʟᴇ as well. So that is not good. So each part is getting taken out, and the only thing not charged right now is the Naiad Centurion. And then over here is just a counter-charge into my Thule regiment from his ghoul horde. So then we start seeing the real impact of his shooting again. This time I didn't even leave the wounds, but it took out my Naiad Centurion. So Naiad Centurion being height 4, just sitting there looking out, and it's just bang. He just shot it with his balefire catapults and took it right out. And it's not that easy to kill. Like, I think it's a 13, 15, defense 5, but yeah, gone. And so, you know, the real consequence of that is that's actually my inspiring for these units. So now these guys are uninspired, and so he's being very smart. He's killed it in the range phase, so now all his other fights will be into things that are uninspired. So yeah, 9 damage on my giant, and then he rolls hot twice for the nerve and takes out the giant. So giant's gone, no more coral giant. So that's a big blow already, because that's one of my high damage output. It was pretty much my thing to kill these zombie trolls. Over here, well, everything except the ʀᴇʟᴇ were taken out. So, oh well, yeah. So the Centurion was already gone, and then the Kraken just can't handle being flanked sometimes, and so it felt really bad and died. So yeah, it's gone. 19 damage in total, so he rolled very well. So now I've lost both my big Gribblies, which, you know, really is the whole reason I enjoy playing the Trident Realms. So once I lose those, I'm kind of just like, oh, well, yeah, I got some placoderms, I suppose. And then some 7 damage onto the Thule regiment, which is to be expected. I mean, these are ghouls going into something that's defense 3. This is the perfect thing. So this is where I didn't really think. I thought, yes, Thule can take out his berserker, but really, berserkers can also take out my berserkers. So ghouls versus Thule versus ghouls, it's pretty nasty both ways. And so yeah, I've taken 7 damage and I'm wavered. So now I'm just kind of stuck there, and there's nothing I can really do about it. And so everything's just kind of moved around. He's got these trolls ready to go in and start wiping out this way. We've got this vampire now free. He did a little bit of damage with the death pack, but obviously it didn't take out the tree leapers, so that's some small mercy. Yeah, so that's the state of the board. What am I going to do? Was that a movement? Yes, that's now my movement phase. So I've moved just the envoy, just like trying to hide it. Keeping the placoderms where they are, hiding my flank from the nasty trolls. And the gig is just kind of peeking over, but still not really committing anywhere, because I don't know if I really want to go in now, because I just like, you just do the maths. So gigas plus placoderms, that's not going to take out a zombie horde. Or legion, definitely not. Over here, well, we haven't got many options left. All of a sudden, just turn 2, turn 3, not much left to do, so I just have my injured Thule hopefully ready to jump into this fight against the ghouls. We'll see how we go. And yeah, my injured placoderms, also not sure what to commit to, but we're kind of trying to stay in the forest so we don't get shot to pieces. But yeah, see, the shooting kind of forced me to make some decisions that I shouldn't have done, and then before you know it, bam, I'm just losing some stuff. Because I'm sending in things without the proper reinforcement because I'm holding it back. But in my phase, at least I do kill the death pack, so the tree leapers are now free to maybe kill something else. And it's turn 4, so it's happening quick. So in turn 4, well, the tree leapers get attacked by both the trolls and the vampire, so they're not long for this world. And there's a counter charge with the ghouls into my now wavered Thule, and the Knucker is earnestly getting attacked by the they're now at least disordered ghoul horde, so they won't have thunderous charge, but they do have brew of strength, so they're crushing one at least, so they will get some damage in. Here the zombie legion has gone into my placoderms along with the gorblight, and this is, I think, trying to show. Yeah, nope, this was the shooting. So again, those balefire catapults every turn have done so much damage, and they managed to an unknown amount of damage was put onto my placoderms. He rolled hot, the placoderms disappeared. So I've now down 1 placoderm as well. So currently the kill count for them is placoderms, Naiad Centurion, and half a Thule. So that's each one is made its point back already. In combat, these Thule regiment cannot take the heat from the ghouls, so they're gone, and the Knucker is also gone, so I haven't got much left. But thankfully, the placoderms do hold because he realizes only doing 5 damage. Defense 6 is rather hard to get through when you're not shooting at it with balefires. And so now my turn, I've charged in, so in go the Tidal Swarm, in go the Thule Regiment, and in go the Thule Mythicon, so hopefully all of those things combined. These guys are already damaged, maybe I'm going to kill them. Over here, the placoderms are wavered, unfortunately. I didn't say that, so he got lucky and wavered them. So they're kind of just sitting there. So I've sent in the Gigas to the Gorblight, so hopefully take that out, so just, you know, hopefully remove some source, because that Cloak of Death is also just racking up some points. So we do kill the ghoul horde, so finally I'm starting to kill some stuff, but that was about it. In his turn 5, well, it's, I'm not sure what he's measuring here, maybe it's a spell for, anyway. So we do have the zombie trolls, yeah, the zombie trolls did go through the tree leapers, no surprises there. So the zombie trolls are flanking, we've got the front of the legion, and we have the vampire going into my poor envoy, and the Gorblight is in earnest going into my Gigas. Over here, he's turned his other zombie legion to face my Thule, but that's about all he can do. And behind me are also the other horde of ghouls, so there's not much I can do about it. But the shooting now, 11 damage is now, so I think these guys already had 7, so 4 more damage put into them, they're wavered, so there's nothing I can actually do with those that Thule regiment, so it's kind of just stuck there. And 7. Was that some other shooting? Did he shoot a bit at one and shoot a bit at the other? He may have. I don't see how else these guys could have racked up 7 damage, but yeah, so now also the Tidal Swarm is damaged. And unsurprisingly, all this damage on my poor placoderms, they just couldn't handle it, so they're gone, the envoy's gone. But the Gigas, in my turn at least, killed the Gorblight. So we've killed the Gorblight, turned around, but there's just far too much for me to take on, especially with my measly 12 attacks and already taken 5 damage. Here I just kind of turn around, so I'm not taking a rear charge from the ghouls, and I was just sending the Tidal Swarm to hold up the Zombie Legion. The Zombie Legion put some more damage in, and yeah, well, didn't take him out thankfully, but it's turn 6. So I'm flying through his turn, so apologies if it's too quick, but you know, ultimately there's not much to cover. He's got all the stuff he needs in the Dominate Zone, and my Gigas are just kind of sitting there and hopefully not going to get shot to pieces. Ooh. That's it. Yeah. So this is the final shot. So yeah, I ended up having at least something in the Dominate Zone, but yeah, unfortunately I just can't take out those zombie legions. And so ultimately that was what I identified, is that the only way to take out a single zombie legion was to send in my high attack stuff. So really the 2 Thule regiments and the Kraken together maybe would take them out. But the problem is you send that into, say, the Crystal Pendant Retribution, that will do perhaps no damage, perhaps a lot of damage to those units. they will then be fragile and gone. I won't have them to take on the next zombie legion, because they are the only thing that can really kill the zombie legions. Maybe the placoderms could grind it out very slowly, but the weight of attacks will just take down the placoderms. But really what I shouldn't have done, I shouldn't have deployed so wide. That was probably my first mistake, was just putting out everything so wide. The reason why the giant went on the really far left was just because I didn't want him to get shot. So that worked, he did not get shot. But he himself alone, without inspiring, was not able to take out, the trolls and stuff. So that's where I went wrong. So what I should have done is perhaps reinforced his position with things like maybe the Thule could have gone over there with him, or the Ninth Centurion with the Kraken and some other stuff. That could have all gone on that side to help them. Or he could have just stayed in the middle. But then he would have copped the shots, and he definitely couldn't have taken the balefire shots. The way it was wounding, if it was putting all that damage onto him, he would be dead in 2-3 turns. But then some other things might have been saved. So who's to know? But ultimately, I pin it on my deployment initially, and let's not talk about bad dice, because obviously I didn't do very well, but you can't blame the dice because you'll never improve. So ultimately, I shouldn't go out so far like that. And so did I learn that lesson between round 1 and round 2? That's a tricky thing. Can you learn the lessons across the tournament games? Not so sure. So let's take a look. It is round 2. Who am I going against now? Well, it's actually an opponent I've been against before. It's Kingsley and his Imperial Dwarfs, or just Dwarfs as they are known. So he's brought his Dwarves, and he really likes his Steel Behemoths and his Infantry. So that's really his focus. And I've been against his list before. Before he was going more Ironclad, but now, well, let's get into it. So his 2100 points of Dwarfs involves 3 hordes of Shield Breakers. One of which has a throwing... Well, they all have throwing Mastiffs, so no surprises there. But one has Fire Oil, one has Harn's Sanguinary Scripture, and one has Brew of Sharpness. So they're steadily getting worse and worse. So, pretty good upgrades. Then we have one Lonely Iron Belcher Cannon, I suppose, to just put some pressure on. Then we have 2 Steel Behemoths, and then one further Steel Behemoth that's been upgraded to Golok's Fury. So that's 3 Steel Behemoths in total. Then we have 1 Stone Priest, and he loves to upgrade his Stone Priest with all kinds of stuff. So it can be hard to keep track of, but 1 Stone Priest has Radiance of Life, well, they both have Radiance of Life, and then Amulet of the Fireheart to cast 2 spells in 1 turn. He has Banechant 2, Celestial Restoration 3, and that was gained with Knowledgeable. The other Stone Priest has the Edge Periscope, so he can see over things, Banechant 2, Bartskin 5, and Scorched Earth 2. So that's a lot of spells so 5 spells across 2 Stone Priests. And that Radiance of Life just helps everything stay healthy. And then finally, he has the hero Garrick Heavy Hand, which is just a nice little individual that can deal consistent amount of damage. And is very hard to remove, as an individual from the Dwarfs usually is. So that's his army, and it already presents problems because I look at it and I see some Defense 6 stuff, and I don't have much crushing. Especially not enough to deal with all 3 of those Steel Behemoths. But Shieldbreaker Horde, not so nasty. At least those can be dealt with in a normal fashion with my normal kind of infantry stuff. So I am quite hopeful, but it's definitely a lot of things to try and take out. And the game we're playing is Plunder. So we have 5 tokens spread out across the middle, along the center line, and 2 of them, one elected by each of us, is worth 2. And so I've denoted those with these nice halos. So you can see all of the objectives here, one right in the middle and then others spread out, and so this one is worth 2, the one just kind of middle left, and the far right one is also worth 2. And so let's go into the terrain. So this is kind of more of a desert, I almost said desert, desert, a desert kind of battlefield. So we have here is a one hill, and the other hill is right in the middle. That's the hill as well. So we've got 2 hills, which are kind of Egyptian-y ruins. And then we have 2 forests, which are just kind of blighted forests, which also tend to look like hills once you remove these trees. So 1 forest, 2 forests on my side. We have some flat terrain right here in the bottom left that I'm kind of sitting in. And then we have blocking terrain, so these obelisks here, and the Sphinx there are the blocking terrain. And then finally, the 2 obstacles. There's 1 obstacle jutting out from the bottom right-hand forest here in front of my stuff, and then 1 obstacle in front of next to the Sphinx there. So that is the whole setup, and now let's go into the armies. So I've deployed, let's go into his deployment and it'll explain somewhat my deployment. That always works. So in between the two blocking terrain, the obelisk and the sphinx, we have the three boom 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 shield breaker hordes with their items denoted on top, which I can't see from here, but that one looks like a bottle, so at least that's the fire oil, and then a brew of sharpness somewhere and a Han sanguinary. That's the Han sanguinary scripture in the middle, and brew of sharpness closest to the obelisks, so they're the ones you really got to watch out for. And then we have the three steel behemoths. So this one here, in between the shield breakers, makes sense. It's ʀᴇʟᴇᴜ Fury because it has the aura, I think, of Iron Resolve. So why not have it with your infantry? Whereas the other two steel behemoths over here on token grabbing duty. And then finally we have behind these shield breaker hordes the two stone priests, and then there's Garrick Heavyhand with his big hammer. And there's that lonely cannon. So that was his whole setup. It's very simple, and he didn't really have anywhere else to put it, to be fair. He's lucky that the distance between these two impassable terrains, or blocking terrains, is almost exactly 3 shieldbreaker hordes and a ʀᴇʟᴜ Fury wide, because otherwise he would have some trouble trying to figure out where to go. So then the way I set up is really more to grab some of these tokens. And so what I've got on the left, I have one Tidal Swarm, aiming for this token here on the far left. I have my Kraken, I have a regiment of Placoderms, and the Naiad Centurion. So that's one parcel over here, hopefully to take on one horde of shield breakers. The next package to take on the next horde of shield breakers is another regiment of Placoderms, the Gigas, the Thule formation, so you can see there the 2 Thule regiments and the Thule Mythicon, and my Naiad Envoy as well, kind of there. And then on the right hand side we have some more speedy elements a bit. We have the Tree Leapers ready to jump on a token, we have the ʀᴇʟᴜ and another Tidal Swarm aiming for that 2-point token, and my Coral Giant. So deploying, my plan was Tidal Swarm gets the left one, Tidal Swarm gets the right one, and I try and delay things into, and that gives me 3 points already, but there's still a total of 4 in the middle. So I just need to either stop him getting these or get one of them myself, and then I'm good. Tricky part is this right one, how do I get it while not getting destroyed or charged? That's the tricky part. And how do I get one of these ones before these guys get it? Because if they get it, I may not be able to kill them and get it back. So this is the tricky thing. But they're slow, so it's definitely not an impossible task. So that's kind of what's going through my head. And I just took pictures of the tokens. We actually had them to notice too. Okay, so we've got scouting moves, moved up one Tidal Swarm there, and the other one I did not move up because obviously I didn't want to just get charged. So it's turn 1. Who gets turn 1? I do. So I just move everything up to kind of be like, just project my threat over that token so that he can't just jump onto it. Not that he can because he's a dwarf, so it would take him ages to get there. So moving up the Kraken and the Placoderms, moving up the other Placoderms and the Gigas, and over here, the Tree Leapers have already jumped onto a token. This was a bad idea, I went too far. I just thought, why not get onto it? But then, you'll see later, this was a bad idea. Bit of foreshadowing, but it's only spoiler for 1 turn ahead, so don't worry. And here, I'm just moving forward more the ʀᴇʟᴜ and the Giant into this forest to then kind of, they together can hold off these steel behemoths while hopefully the Tidal Swarm can go in there and get that token. He then also just moves up, trying to stay out of some charge ranges with his different shield breakers, and ʀᴇʟᴜ Fury is kind of sitting back so it can do some shooting, and his 2 steel behemoths have just moved up very slowly because they're not nimble, so they take a little bit more time to move around. But the shooting from those steel behemoths and the Mastiff pack was definitely enough to take out the River Guard Tree Leapers, so they're gone. So why did I do that? I don't know, but that was a bit silly. A little bit silly, I should have waited. So that very first thing I thought I was being smart, and then I realized I was not being smart. Turn 2. So, am I being smart? I don't know, but I've charged in with the Kraken, with the Centurion. That damage I think is just from some shooting from the ʀᴇʟᴜ Fury. So I've charged in those into one Shieldbreaker Horde. Over here I've charged the Gigas and the Thule into another Shieldbreaker Horde. And everything else is kind of just sitting behind. I'm hoping my Placoderms can go get these tokens and then just go away. And you can see that I've got that token over there with my Tidal Swarm regiment there. On this side, I've engaged both the Steel Behemoths to hopefully tie them up. So I've got my Giant and my ʀᴇʟᴜ into one each, and I've picked up this token with my other Tidal Swarm. Very good. And so we start getting into the combats. Do I have a picture of the damage? Oh, it's on this. It's on a dial thing, so we can't really see it. But I've done damage, but I didn't take them off. Here I've also done damage, but didn't take them off. And it's now his turn. He's actually, that's what we've got going on here, is that he's charging. So he's charged back into my Kraken. Here he's gone in with both the Steel Behemoth and I believe the Thule. Yeah, these guys are not countercharging the Thule, they're countercharging the Gigas. Perhaps? We'll see. We'll see what kind of damage is done. But yeah, countercharge is happening, and these guys just moving up. Countercharging here. I've done a bit of damage onto those, onto the Steel Behemoths, but haven't removed them. So I'm just, chipping away, and I feel pretty good because I have Ensnare, so he's not hitting me very much. But yeah, so obviously they did countercharge the Thule, so they took them off, but the Gigas survive. Well, it's okay, I have another Thule, but what surprised me was these shield breakers took down my Kraken. That wasn't so good, so now we'll have to try and send in some other stuff, which, other stuff I don't really have. So in my turn 3, well, the other stuff I send in the Placoderms, so at least they get on the token. I'm not sure if I want to pick it up just yet, because they may just die, because these shield breakers with their Brew of Sharpness are pretty nasty. But what I do manage to get off is with the Gigas in the front and then the Centurion in the side into this ʀᴇʟᴇᴜ Fury, so hopefully I'll start doing some more damage. And the Thule have gone in to replace their fallen Thule brethren, along with the Thule Mythic. And over here, my guys with the token are just kind of coming around. Really what I should do is just turn about faced and go back. But what I'm doing, I'm getting greedy. I'm thinking maybe I can bring him over and grab this. This was a silly idea, and I should definitely not have entertained such a thought. Over here, these Placoderms are just kind of telling these guys not to flank my Thule and just come on and attack me. So they're looking at the Fire Oil Shield Breakers. Over here, just a little bit of damage racking up on my Coral Giant and the ʀᴇʟ, but yeah, like I said, they are pretty much nullifying their damage output with their Ensnare, and he's got Iron Resolve on the Coral Giant, so it's pretty good. I think we've got this under control. But what I have not got under control is my penchant for sending my Tidal Swarms to do more than carrying one token. I'm getting greedy, and I've sent this one to go grab another one. Why am I doing this? Anyway, I just want to strangle myself in a way, not for any positive reasons, just because I'm getting frustrated with the fact that I've done this. So these Tidal Swarms, both of them, I thought, why not get another token? Instead of running them away, being like, aha, I have those, and now I can focus on just getting one more. I'm just making things hard for myself. Anyway, in Kingsley's turn, he has, I didn't really kill anything, but in Kingsley's turn he's charged in with the Horde into my Placoderms there. Everything else is just counter-charging. Here, yep, counter-charging. And so the Shield Breakers do a little bit of damage onto my Placoderms. He was surprised how little he did, but hey, these are Defense 6 guys, so respect them. And then here, Garrick Heavy Hand is trying to do some damage to my Centurion, but did nothing. He actually completely whiffed because he's just got a couple of attacks. But the 6 damage done by that ʀᴇʟᴜ Fury did manage to waver. And I mean, it's very hard to waver these guys. These are guys with Staying Stones. So 16, 17, he got just the right roll to waver them, which was infuriating. But what are you going to do? And 5 damage here. These guys did better than the other ones onto my Placoderms. So Placoderms slowly getting hurt. And you know what else is getting hurt? So is my Giant. Here, the Giant has taken quite a number of damage and now is wavered, and the Coral Giant doesn't have Fury, unlike his non-coralled cousin. So yeah, he's wavered and stuck there, while the ʀᴇʟ took a little bit more damage, but not much. So the ʀᴇʟ's actually doing better, even though he's only defense 4. Turn 4. What kind of silliness am I up to now? Well, yeah, you can see I've brought these tokens into the danger zone. Like, if they weren't here, there was nothing to threaten them. I should have just kept them where they were. But instead, I have them here. So, very silly. I don't know why I'm doing it. Over here, so yeah, we've got all kinds of charges going on. I have just to move my my Gigas back. That's all I can really do. And countercharge with the Placoderms, so a little bit of brain freeze, and continuing to charge into the flank with my Centurion, which is fantastic because he's pretty punchy. And then over here we have countercharge with the Thule, which have 8 damage on them, which is not great, and countercharge with my Placoderms here. So everything's just getting stuck in, but I don't expect anything to die. And I can only just countercharge with my poor Naka, whereas the giant's kind of just stuck there. And now this is when I've realized, no, I shouldn't go for that extra token. I should start getting out of here, because it turns out the giant's not going to last as long as I thought. Because I really was of the opinion that the giant would last a long time here, grinding it out, and then I'd have time to go pick up this and then amble off with, pretty much all the tokens I need to win on one unit. No, it's not the case, and I really need to get out before the steel behemoths break through my poorly erected barrier of fish. So just a zoomed in shot for some reason, and so in my turn I did manage to kill one horde of shield breakers, which is great. That's already a good start. So one unit of Thule free, whereas I'm just doing a little bit more damage onto everything else. Here in his turn, the steel behemoths do get through. They've killed both of their things, and now they're chasing after my tidal swarm, which is like, and I'm just trying to move, but they don't have Pathfinder, so they can't move very fast. So right now he's going to try and shoot at my tidal swarm a bit, and I just hope I can get out before I perish. Yes, get out! That was my wife. And so damage is being done on the placoderms. Placoderms have accrued quite a bit, but they're okay somehow. And then the other placoderms, not as much, so just 7 damage there, and he's just got his steel behemoth just trying to get through things, but he's why is it angled? Oh, he's killed the gigas. Yeah, there's no gigas here, so the steel behemoth has finally killed the gigas, but now I have my Thule right into his flank, so that'll be good. Turn 5. It's a flank and a rear from the Centurion, flank from the Thule right into the steel behemoth. I've always wanted to kill one, and finally maybe it will be the time. The placoderms just continue their grind, but these placoderms, I believe, are wavered, which is going to hamper their ability to strike back, unfortunately. But let's hope I can save them. Look, it's the Mythicon. The Thule Mythicon will save them, right? We'll see. Whereas over here, and just pointing out, these priests are doing a fantastic job, because they got their Radiance of Life. This guy's all the way back here because he wants to do a Celestial Restoration. So, therefore, he probably shouldn't have put Radiance of Life on it, because it's a bit silly. But anyway, whatever. But he is just there casting his Celestial Restoration, and he's doing really well. So a lot of healing is going on here. I just can't really see it, because I can't, unless I take a bird's eye picture of these dials, I have no idea what they're saying. Which is part of why they're a bit annoying. No damage done on my Tidal Swarm, so it continues running away, staying in cover. I do take out the Steel Behemoth, which is fantastic. So now these guys are a little less buffed. No Iron Resolve for them. But in his turn, he does some more shooting and does manage to take out my Tidal Swarm. Sad noises. The token is now stuck. I've tried to put it just on the other side of the terrain, so it'll take him a little while to get there at least. And here, the Thule are gone, and it's Garrick Heavyhand who just went in and went boop, tapped him on the head, and they exploded. So my Thule regiment is gone. So there goes the last of my punchy units in the army. So I'm just left with placoderms and Titan Swarms and the Thule Mythicon. So turn 6. What's going to happen? Well, these placoderms die. Good thing I didn't pick up the token, but he just merely has to walk over to it to pick it up. And he does. He gets the overrun and gets onto it, so that's good for him. I'm so happy for him. Over here, I think we get another combat. Is that what we're showing here? No. This is my turn. I just didn't put it in the turn 7 happened, so I did try and charge in, but it's really tokenistic. Who cares? It's nothing. And over here, he didn't manage to get to that. But I did waver the unit, which was not... Oh no, I got wavered. No, really in the end, the only token I got was this one, which should have been my plan from the start, is just get them out. Get the tokens and just get away. So these guys, with the token, they could have just gone this direction, onto his side of the battlefield. They didn't even need to do a 180. They could have just fled off into the sunset. That would have been 1 point secured. The other guys should have come back this way immediately, and they could have secured 2 points, and I would have just needed to get one more, or just stop him from getting 2 more. But alas, I got far too greedy. It's one thing to get a little bit greedy with one thing, but then getting greedy with both, that was the real killer. So I've only got myself to blame, and so next time I will just have to say, don't do that. But anyway, it was a great game. I really enjoyed it. Kingsley is always an enthusiastic player, and I look forward to his army getting painted. Each time I bring up saying, oh, it looks so good painted, and he's like, you always say that. I'm like, well, it's always not quite painted. So it will look good. He has a lot of infantry, and he has a colour scheme of using white, and I think the other contrast colour is the purple. It's just, yeah, it's going to look good when it's all done. And the 3 Steel Behemoths, I think, is pretty good, actually. Even though it was kind of more of a meme for him, I think it's actually quite good. So that was that one. So that's 2 losses so far. Not great. So let's go into the 3rd round. Oh, yeah, just showing off what died. So yeah, round 3. Who do I go against now? I've lost twice, so hopefully it won't be too hard a game. And it was against Forces of the Abyss. And so if you're not familiar, my first army for Kings of War when I started way back in 2021, which is not that long ago, I started with Forces of the Abyss. I had a lot of, chaos models. I had a chaos army, and whenever someone starts in Kings of War, if you've already played some kind of fantasy game, you just start using those models to begin with. So I know Forces of the Abyss. I know pretty much the whole list quite well. There's some things I haven't used much as compared to others, but I generally know all the units and why I would and wouldn't take them and how to take them out. So unfortunately for Adam, who's bringing the Force of the Abyss, I really knew how his army worked before he even put it down. And so let's go through the list. We have 2 regiments of Abyssal Guards, both upgraded with the Sacrificial Imp. They have 2-hand weapons, which lowers their defense to 4, and they gain Crushing Strength 1. And one has Brutal Sharpness, and the other one Blessing of the Gods. So they've had their damage output pumped up, but also their regeneration with the Sacrificial Imp. We have a Horde of Lower Abyssals, also with the Sacrificial Imp, 2-hand weapons, and a Chant of Hate, which gives them Vicious. Then we have 1 troop of Hellhounds with the Scrying Gem, which is not a bad idea. I like Scrying Gem. And a regiment of Hellhounds with Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding. Then we have a Horde of Imps, 2 Cronius, both with the Drain Life upgrade. 1 Abyssal Warlock with Boots of Levitation, Bane Chant 2, Drain Life 6. And then we have 1 Archfiend of the Abyss with the Diadem of the Dragonkind, increasing its Fireball, I think, to 21. Yeah. Oh no, or 15. Anyway, it increases the Fireball by a lot, so it becomes a real little fire guy. So essentially he's also like pretty much an Efreet. So that's his army. And I can already see that there's a lot of weak points. Like, it does have the ability to do quite a bit of damage, but the problem is with Abyssal Guard, my first units that I was using was my Chaos Warriors as Abyssal Guard, because I thought the Abyssal Guard are pretty good, but at 12 attacks, they really can't do much damage, even though they're melee 3+. And so even with Crushing 1, all that kind of stuff, they're still never going to be as good as even like Gigas, and Gigas aren't great. Even though they've got Crushing Strength 2 and Vicious, they sometimes don't do any damage at all, and Abyssal Guard will fall into that same trap. And so they're the main damage output for this army. And so usually when people think damage output for Forces of the Abyss, they think first Molochs, and then maybe like the Abyssal Horsemen, and then Tortured Souls. And so there's none of those in this army, so already the damage output is not that fearsome. And their defense 4, which is good for me because I don't have much damage output for my Trident Realm, so I think I can take it on. Whereas the lower Abyssal Horde, that's just pretty good, but yeah, the upgrade to the 2-handed weapons and just means that they also will be quite fragile. And lots of the Sacrificial Imp, while it's okay, it's only good on things that can stick around for 1 round. And when everything's defense 3 and defense 4, I don't think they're going to get a chance to use that Sacrificial Imp. It makes it really, you have to have it on something that will be there after taking damage so that they can have a chance to regenerate. Hellhounds, I think they're quite good. They're a bit pricier than they should be, perhaps, because anyway, but they're quite good. They're good fast cavalry. Imps are pretty good. Wait, what am I saying? No, imps are terrible. No, don't use imps. I was just kind of rolling along. No, imps in any form, not great. They're just melee 5+ vicious, kind of little flying things, but yeah, they're just not very good. You're better off getting just some gargoyles. The Cronius are very good, and they will help with the whole list of that kind of getting the health back. But the Drain Life upgrade is far too expensive and far too hard to use, because it's Drain Life 8, which is great. It's the highest Drain Life you can get in the army, but it's on a unit that is not nimble, and therefore getting him to face the right way to do a Drain Life, he really just wants to charge instead. Like, the only time that I think I've said this before, but the only time you'd ever be using his Drain Life, because he has to get so close, is after a combat. Let's say you've just then reformed, and then he wouldn't have a charge anyway. Like, perhaps, maybe there'll be a situation where he is in range to charge, but he can't charge because of the angles. So, okay, well, he's really tall, he can Drain Life, fantastic. But in those rare instances, is it worth 35 points? I don't think so. Adam's idea was the fact that the Cronius can't heal himself with temporal ruptures, so he'll use Drain Life to heal it. but I think the fact that Cronius can't heal itself is just like, well, it can't heal itself, whatever. And the Abyssal Warlock can bring Drain Life, so maybe he can heal it instead. And so he's got this Abyssal Warlock ready to zip around, but the problem is now that he's got this Abyssal Warlock ready to zip around to cast his Drain Life, it means that there's no one left to inspire apart from the Archfiend of the Abyss. So this whole army only has really one source of inspiring, and that's the Archfiend of the Abyss. So yeah, anyway, I probably went a bit too harsh into Adam's army because I just really, really know it. Whereas the dwarves, well, I know them now, but yeah, we'll see how this whole battle goes. So we are playing Salt the Earth, which requires 7 tokens, which is a lot, scattered around the battlefield. And so we have one that has to go in the middle, but the rest can get put anywhere by us alternating with the normal restrictions, 12 inches from each other and 3 inches from blocking. So we've put them around, and I've circled roughly where they are. We can see all of them except for one underneath my Knucker and one underneath his Hellhounds, and these can be burned. So the Salt the Earth idea is that you can burn the tokens if you control them at the start of your turn, and so you can burn them. And it's unlike Rays, you don't get points from them, they're just gone. So the idea is that you generally want to burn what you don't want your opponent to get. So let's go through the terrain first. We have 2 forests, very clear. So here, 1 forest in the left and 1 forest pretty much in the middle. Then we have a big hill in his, that hill probably shouldn't be in the deployment zone, but it is anyway, and there's no war machine, so that's okay. So we probably should have altered that so it's right flush, because Epic Dwarf mats normally don't have the hill in deployment zone, but the other hills over here on the far right, we have 3 blocking terrains, so 1 on the left, 1 on the right, and then 1 down here. So there's those 3 blocking terrains. There's an obstacle next to this blocking terrain next to my deployment zone, and the other obstacle next to this forest, also in front of my deployment zone, so bloody obstacles. And finally there's the 1 flat terrain right there straddling my deployment zone on the left. And so the way I've deployed really is that I just want to get some tokens, and I know I can get these 2. So when I was placing them down, I was like, alright, I'm going to put 1 in each corner behind these bits of terrain. So I can put 1 here, that'll be safe, 1 here, that'll be safe, 1 here, and, well, I only get to place 3. So I dictated these 3 so that I could get them. So essentially, the 2 in my deployment zone that I ended up having, they are going to be for the Tidal Swarms. The Tidal Swarms just sit there, that's it, and I own those. So that's, you can see I've actually started learning. I'm like, no, don't sacrifice, don't get greedy, just be like, get these, and then we can work towards the others. So one of the others being the middle one. If I can get the middle one, which can't be burned, then I'll be good. He has a lot of stuff facing me, but I'm ready to go. So what I've done, I've got here on the left, finally I've started putting these things together. I've got all the monsters together with the Knight Centurion, who's also speedy and can kind of escort them around. So we've got the Coral Giant and the Kraken together with the Knight Centurion. The fact that not much of his army is speedy also meant that I could do without the Tidal Swarms. And then in the middle I have the formation with the Gigas, so hopefully they can have a lot of damage output to get through these nice fleshy Abyssal Guard that are so low defense. And I also have the Tree Leapers just ready to go either way because they're nimble and fly, so they can go. You can go to the left, they can go to the right, they can jump over these annoying pieces of terrain, no problem. And then on the far right I have the Placoderms. Where's my other Placoderm unit? I think the other Placoderm's over here next to the Kraken. We can't see it. But this Placoderm's with the Knucker and the Envoy. And those will go up to go against his cavalry, because I'm like, phalanx, finally some cavalry to go up against my phalanx, because I haven't had any cavalry yet. So it would be nice to use phalanx, just be like, but I got you this time. So that's small things amuse me. So on his side, so what his army is pretty much a lot of Lord of the Rings models that he's then be like, I'm going to try some Force of the Abyss, because he hasn't played Force of the Abyss before. And so what we have, the Hellhounds are Wargs, so that's pretty easy. So we've got the Regiment of Hellhounds on the right and a troop of Hellhounds on the left, so they're kind of doing a flanking thing. And then in the middle we have very small spiders swarms, which are the lower abyssals. Then we have bigger spiders, which are the Abyssal Guard. We have two very big spiders, which are the Cronius. And then here, these are the Imps, which are really tiny spiders. And then that Terror thing, that's the Archfiend of the Abyss. And behind here is kind of like a demonic ogre thing, which is his Abyssal Warlock. So that is all laid out there, and you can see all the different tokens. So, like I said, I've got the tokens where I can get them, and I'll just have to try and reach the others. So just some pictures, and it's turn 1. So who gets the first turn? I didn't scout, obviously. Me. So I move up, and I'm just trying to, I guess, just put some range on things and threaten all the different tokens. So I couldn't reach this token here because it's terrain, so I just moved up and got my giant able to look through the forest, so I've just moved him into the forest. Everything there is nice and inspired on the left. In the middle, we have the Ʀᴇʟᴇᴜ formation just moving right up into the forest to look through, but also, we're ensnared, we're in cover. If anything does decide to charge me, I'm fine with that. I think we can take it. The Giga's just kind of coming up a bit slower because I also know that this Archfiend of the Abyss is very fast, but right now the only thing in range of my Ʀᴇ is the Archfiend of the Abyss. Everything else is too slow. So it's pretty much, I'm moving up and just being like, hey, you want to go into some Ʀᴇ with your Archfiend of the Abyss? Which I know would be a terrible idea because he would be hindered, he would be ensnared, so he'd be hitting on 5s, and he only has 9 attacks. And if there's anything the Archfiend doesn't like to do is hit on 5s with 9 attacks, because he'll do absolutely nothing. And I've put the River Guard Tree Leapers just kind of in the back. So I'm just like, where do I want to put them? But they can redeploy pretty easily. On the far right, blurry pictures, jeez. Now, on the far right, we have the placoderms just peeking over the hill, so I can see whatever those, not wargs, they are wargs, but whatever the hellhounds are looking at, and so it also means that they can charge me if they so choose, and I've got the ʀᴇʟᴇ ready to jump in and actually maybe do some damage, but the ʀᴇʟᴇ is, importantly, out of range, so I'm just giving him a charge on the placoderms. Just a picture to show something, nothing really happening here, and that's a blurry picture that might have happened by accident, but I guess to show the deployment. But this shows, boom, he burned 4 tokens. The madman. So he moved everything up onto different tokens, and he's just like, I'm going to burn them all that I can. So he did. He burned a bunch of tokens. And his excuse was that then he can just move forward and try and get the other ones. Like it just means he can move, then he knows his goal is just to move across, but yeah, really, he should have kept 1 token, he could have just kept Imps on it, or that Hellhound troop, could just been like, I'm just going to keep that here, doing what I'm doing, so that we both have some points in the back pocket. But yeah, he thought he could just punch through and get through my ones, but unfortunately, while my army is not super tough, it's definitely tougher than his. So yeah, picture of my unit doing nothing, but yeah, turn 2. So we didn't even have a picture of where his army got to, but here there's a picture of the dice, turn 2, very helpful. So I've moved up. Yeah, so the wargs didn't move anywhere, they're just kind of still sitting there, those hellhounds, because they burnt a token. Over here, I've just now reinforced my position with the Ʀᴇ by bringing up the Gigas, so if he wants to charge the Gigas, he can also with his Archfiend, but I've got the Tree Leapers backing them up, as not to mention all the rest of the stuff. Most of his army here is not in range to charge yet, so I'm pretty comfortable, except maybe one of those Abyssal Guards, but we'll see. I don't think so. I was trying to make sure there was never a multi-charge going on, because they might together. 2 Abyssal Guard could probably punch through 1 unit, but one by themselves I'm not that scared of. Over here, I've charged into the guys that came up to burn that token, so yeah, these are 1 troop of hellhounds getting attacked by both the Kraken and the placoderms. I'm pretty secure in that. So here, in his turn, he has charged in, and so yeah, as I said, yeah, 1 of those Abyssal Guard and the Archfiend jumped into the Gigas, so not too worried about that, whereas everything else is still on the other side of this forest, so, well, no, they can see, but they've just moved up at the double to try and get as far as they can, and so I've got my pick of which ones I want to attack, but he has done one good thing where he's kind of angled them, so I can't charge or double charge any single unit, and the Cloak of Death, you can see, is going off here. Over here, well, he's decided to bypass the phalanx. He's like, no, don't want to hit that. I'm going to go around. So he's just come around here to then threaten my ʀᴇʟᴇ, which doesn't feel very threatened. And here, well, I did manage to kill the Hellhound troop, which is completely expected. But his other Cronius has gone into my Naiad Centurion, which I was like, oh yeah, sure. Why did I have it in range? I think I wanted range on something else, but in the end, yeah, he charged it, and I'm like, yeah, sure, it's just, d6 plus 6, what's it gonna do? And yeah, his horde of lower abyssals just sitting there on the hill, all lonely. But what's it gonna do? It's gonna kill it. So, yeah, that charged in and managed to kill my Naiad Centurion, which is a bit rude, but there you go. So now I've got no Inspiring on this side. So all of a sudden, and there's this Abyssal Warlock just sitting there. But you see, the Abyssal Warlock flying around means there's no Inspiring on anything around here. And so in this attack, he managed to do 9 damage to my Gigas, but they're okay. Yeah, and that's it. So now it's on. So on my turn, well, the Gigas go back, double charge with the Thule into the Archfiend, so that'll hopefully be enough damage there. The Coral Giant is coming in, ready to start threatening things, and the other Thule have gone into the Imps, as I identified that as the weakest point, and also I don't think I could actually hit these guys now with this attack. So yeah, just starting there, and hopefully we'll turn in and start attacking, and I've got my Tree Leapers there to, you know, plug a gap should they see one arise. Over here, well, the Knucker's just gone in to start hitting the Hellhounds, and you know, if you hit the Hellhounds first, they've only got Thunderous Charge, so now they're not going to really be doing much damage at all, especially since I'm in Snare, ensnaring, so they're only merely 4+, and my Placoderms now have secured a flank charge for the next turn. Over here, well, I'm not very pleased about what the Cronius managed to do, so it's time for the Kraken to get a flank charge, so you can see his flank, but the Placoderms just had to shuffle around. So here I managed to do some damage. I think that's 6 or something, or was it 2? Anyway, I did some damage, which is good because that just means I've disordered them. So they're not going to get any Thunderous Charge right now. Over here I did some 3 damage, I think. 3 dots. Yeah, I did 3 damage onto the Cronius, which is not very much at all, but you know, it's the Kraken. He does this all the time. You know, 12 attacks, merely 4+. It could be anywhere. So I'll just take it. Some damage is done. Cool. Over here, I did manage to kill the Archfiend of the Abyss, and so then now this is his turn. He has charged in with both of his Abyssal Guard regiment. These are the Abyssal Guards because they're bigger spiders, you see? Yeah, so I killed the Archfiend of the Abyss. He has no Inspiring anymore. I know how fragile an Archfiend of the Abyss because I've tried to use it for a very long time. And so now he's charging in with his Abyssal Guard regiments into the Gigas and into the Thule. These poor guys will be hitting on 4+. So even with their cool item, they're not going to be getting much damage out onto the Thule. And this Cronius has gone into these Thule, which managed to kill the Imps. So yeah, just definitely kind of controlling the combats here. But the Cloak of Death is definitely racking up some points. So that's always something that I'm always like, oh yeah, that is pretty good. So 2 Cronius are definitely going to get my list. And my Giant feeling a little bit threatened by those the lower Abyssals coming on. And so damage was done. Has damage been done yet? No. What are we looking at? Just, yeah, more charges. So yeah, 1 damage was done onto the Kraken. He was a bit surprised, but I mean, when it's d6+6, so the maximum amount of attacks you're going to do is 12, and you're hitting on 4s because I've got Ensnare, yeah, don't expect much. He's also getting very obsessive, trying to take out my Placoderms, because he started shooting the Placoderms with his Abyssal Warlock, and he didn't do much damage. He's like, oh, I should be doing more damage than this, so he just kept on attacking them. Instead of his original mission was to go down and take out my Tidal Swarm and then rob me of one objective, and taking it for himself because this guy is, you know, unit strength 1. So it would have been perfect tactic, but he did get distracted and started trying to kill my Placoderms. So these Thule are wavering, which is unfortunate, and the Gigas did die. So I really should not be saying that these guys do no damage at all, but the Gigas already did take a lot of damage from a double charge and survived, so I think they did alright. And yeah, so the Thule are wavering, which is not great. Over here, yeah, just that 1 damage. So what have I taken a picture of this for? Who knows? But in turn 4, well, it is now the charges are completely on. So the Kraken has gone back into the Cronius, as well as the flank charge from the Placoderm. So I'm expecting I might take that out, which is pretty good. We've got the Giant going into these Abyssal Guard. So hopefully I can take those down before I receive a flank charge from all those lower Abyssals. And yeah, I'm just trying to take down this other Cronius so it stops doing its Cloak of Death all the time with a flank charge from the Tree Leapers, which are actually pretty good in a flank because, yeah, they double their attacks, but they've got Pathfinder, so they don't mind this. And yes, a counter charge from the Thule. Over here, the inevitable flank charge from the Placoderms has occurred as well, so lots of flanks all over the place. This flank racks up a hefty amount of damage. I assume that's an 11, but I don't think we took it out. Over here, we did take out that Cronius, and so now the Thule and Tree Leapers are free, facing his last 2 Abyssal Guards, and we managed to kill those hellhounds, and so this regiment of placoderms is now free to come back into the middle. Although it'll take a good long while, and I don't think we have that much turns left. Here in the middle, in his turn, he does take out my Thule with his Abyssal Guards. They already racked up a lot of damage and were wavering, so it's not that surprising. So hopefully with this combined charge, we'll take out this final regiment of Abyssal Guard. But with his turn, I did manage to kill these guys. So I think that's a 6. So I did 6 damage with the giant, which kind of to be expected because he's hidden on 4s. So I didn't take out the Abyssal Guard, and so for my troubles, I get a flank charge from the lower Abyssals, getting a lot of damage on him and wavering him. So yes, I am seeing the annoyance of having the Coral Giant versus the real giant, but then the real giant doesn't have a snare. So what are you going to do? Turn 5. Well, we're just flying through this, aren't we? Well, so I did get that one charge into the Abyssal Guard, but I decided not to do a double charge. Instead, since these guys could see the rear and they can fly, why not take advantage of my flying frogs? So I jump over and hit the rear of these Abyssal Guard while the giant is sitting there to hopefully free him a bit. And probably what I should have done is turned him, but why didn't I do that? I'm not sure. So he's just kind of stuck there, and in comes the Knucker. Over here, we're just continuing to go in, but you can see his Drain Life Obsession is starting to pay off. He's done 5 damage to my placoderms, so maybe he will take them out yet. Yes, and these placoderms are hoping to contribute to something, but I doubt it. But we do manage to take out that Cronius. The Cronius is gone. Both Cronius have been removed from the battlefield, and now they can turn to face that annoying Warlock, which will surely just get out of the way anyway. I do manage to kill with that rear charge from the Tree Leapers, which are doing really well this game, as you'll notice. Definitely their standing, in my mind, has increased. And so what we're seeing here now is his turn. He's doubled down the flank charge with the giant, which I should have turned, so it's not a flank anymore. But hey, I was getting a bit over myself because I was finally doing some damage with my not so damaging army. But we did take out the Abyssal Guard. That's pretty good. And here, I think, we're just showing the whole layout of the land, of my placoderms just slowly contributing to the rest of the battlefield. These placoderms get wavered because that annoying Abyssal Warlock did a bit more damage and now managed to roll hot. I don't have any inspiring, but a wavering doesn't matter. And yeah, the giant is now dead, and his lower abyssals are facing off against the rest of my army, which some is damaged, but the Tree Leapers definitely are not. And we've also got the Mythicant and a Knucker. So it's this situation that we have here. That's 4 unit strength, and I have here a combined 6 around the token, and I could bring these guys in as well. So turn 6. Well, we all get stuck in, don't we? So the deceptively far-charging Kraken just decides to leave the placoderms for dead because actually there's no token over there, and so it jumps in here, and all the other units jump in as well, getting us nicely in range of this token, and hopefully we'll remove this. And the placoderms just marched over because I thought, well, why not? And these placoderms just turn to face the Warlock that keeps annoying them. And that's it. That's the end. So really, this is the final photo that we should be focusing on here. It's the fact that we've got, well, all my unit strength around that token. I've got the other 2 with my Tidal Swarms. Those are the only tokens left on the battlefield. I own them all. So that's pretty good. So yeah, I won my final game. And I really put it down to the fact that I know Abyssals so well. Yeah, luck. So I know Abyssals so well. Adam doesn't know Abyssals very well. I don't think he's really tried and figured out how fragile it is when you do take these variants with 2-handed weapons. They get really fragile, and their regeneration really then counts for nothing. But then also, I've finally started learning how to use my Trident Realm army in different scenarios, because you just got to play with it more. And so maybe by this time I was also figuring out how to optimize my usage of the army. So you put all that together and you kind of get a victory. In some cases I was rolling hot, some cases I wasn't, so the dice, kind of neither here nor there. But yeah, overall I was feeling a bit bummed out of the Trident Realms by the end of the day. I was kind of like, the Trident Realms, there's nothing really there with high crushing, because if you think of the four kind of hammer-esque units, you have Thule, you have Depth Horrors, you have Thule, Depth Horrors, Worm Riders and Dam Busters, right? So full, they're really good. So I've already got those. Depth Horrors I don't have, but I don't really want to go third party too much. I don't know. I'm just waiting for Mantic to release a model because I can't really find something that I really like as a Depth Horror, because Depth Horrors to me should be like big-eyed, deep-sea kind of creature things, but there's nothing really out there that's like a few SDL variants of the same thing. And then, so with that, they have the Worm Riders, which are the cavalry, but they're only crushing 1. So that's not really very good, especially because they're height 4, defense 4. They're very fragile. So usually for fragile things, you hope them to be quite punchy, like a glass cannon. But they're not really glass cannony either. And they're quite expensive. So to even get them up to a powerful level, you have to add some items. So yeah, I don't really like them. And I've got some of the models. Like my Worm Rider Centurion is actually a Worm Rider, and it's full metal, and it was pretty hard to handle. And then finally, the Dam Busters also don't have models. They only have the Dam Buster Centurion, Dam Buster Sentinel, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, who's a good model, but it's just the one, and if you try and get a whole regiment of them, quite expensive. So I'm hoping that they'll eventually release some actual Dam Busters. The Dam Busters actually have they have like, yeah, I think it's like Crushing 2, Thunder 1, or Crushing 1. Anyway, they're very powerful, but they're merely 4+, so, and Speed 7. They're tricky. But yeah, I would like to go down that route, but when the models are more supported. But anyway, so I was a bit bummed out. I was like, oh, how could I possibly get enough damage? But really, when it comes down, as we saw with each of the battles, it was ultimately my decisions in the battle that did me in, because my army plays a scenario, not the killing them. And so I should have been I started off focusing on scenario, and then I stopped. I don't know what I could have done really against the undead matchup. I felt like I was really pressured to get into combat, but I didn't want to, because I knew I couldn't compete in the combat against them, because they grind much better than my army, and I just don't have enough damage to get through that grind fast enough. But the Balefires were kind of forcing me. But the deployment, I did spread out too much, so maybe if I had the layers I could have pulled it off. But with Dominate, it is tricky, because he just gets his legions in there and he's just like, now you have to remove them. So yeah, I don't know, but against the dwarves, definitely I could have done something quite different in terms of just getting my Trident Tidal Swarm back with those objectives, and then just ignore the rest, and just try and get that one more token, and then it would at least been maybe a draw. So what are you gonna do? Just learn from it and then use them again. So I was a bit bummed out. I wasn't going to use them again, but now I will. I'll use them again, because the army looks really cool. It's fun to use, and yeah, I just gotta maybe change up a few little things. Will this be the last time that I use both the Kraken and the Coral Giant? Maybe, because it's a lot of points into 2 unit strength 1 kind of things. The Giant, I think, always does consistently better. The Kraken can do really well, and then sometimes he just kind of so it might be that the Kraken has to be replaced with some other units, but then that would require me to paint some other units. Really, the only other things I've got are Ensnarers and Heart Piercers. So maybe I want to add some shooting, so I could have some Heart Piercers and some Harpoons. So maybe I'll try that. But yeah, for now, it's I've got other armies I'm working on. I've got the Slowgrow that I mentioned, and I've got some Undead that I'm basing up. So I've got lots of options. But yeah, the Trident Realms definitely are fun, and I will use them again. But yeah, just got to learn my lessons. That's what I need to do. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this battle report. If you did, give it a like. Definitely comment down all the things I did wrong, and agreeing with what I did, and things I didn't even mention that I did wrong. And then if there's anything in terms of the lists that you think I can change up, just add that in as well, because I'm always open to more changes. Maybe I really do just need to get Depth Horrors. They're definitely a consistent form of damage output, and maybe I just need to get them in. But for now, I don't feel that enthused to go hunting down STLs and printing them out and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for now I'm not going to get Depth Horrors, but if you can convince me, maybe I will. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next battle report and or hobby update. Bye!